What's up, college sports fans? I'm Stucky.
I'm Colin Wilson.
I'm Mike Calabrese.
I'm Maria Marino.
I'm Charlie DiSturco, and we're excited that the Big Bets on Campus brand is launching its very own YouTube channel.
You'll be able to find every episode of the BBOC podcast, live shows, and other college sports content on this new channel.
Not only will the channel be dedicated to betting on college sports, but you'll also be able to find exclusive interviews with former college athletes,
college football power rankings,
and updates on other topics like the brand new College Football 25 video game series and the ins and outs of the recruiting trail all the way down to the transfer portal.
Whether you're into college football,
college basketball,
college baseball, or any of the college sports,
we are the home for college sports, and BBOC is the channel for you.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the action. I'll see you there.
Welcome into Payoff Pitch Action Network's Major League Betting Podcast presented by BetMGM. I am your host today, Charlie DiSturco, filling in for Brendan Glasheen, and joining me, my friend Tanner McGrath, to dive in to this Tuesday slate in Major League Baseball. It's a 15-game slate, of course. A reminder, we're recording this on Monday night, so not every line's available. Not every starting pitcher is known for that Tuesday slate, but it's a full slate. Everyone's back in action, so we're going to start, as we always do, our best bets. Tanner, where are you headed?
Good to join you, Charlie, for our little two-man pod on this Tuesday. And pretty exciting. I'm going to go road dog heavy in this pod. I'm going to take three really heavy road dogs, or at least moderate. And I'm going to start with the Guardians on the money line at the New York Yankees for my best bet. You should get plus 140. I don't know if it'll move, but plus 130 or better is fine to me. I don't know if anyone saw Matt Boyd start off Tommy John last week, but I was very encouraged by Matthew Boyd, the former Tiger and Mariner for half a season. Sometimes pitchers don't have great control when they come off TJ. Boyd was the exact opposite. He flashed the exact opposite in 5 innings of 1-run ball with 6 strikeouts against the Cubs. He flashed elite precision, elite command of his 4-pitch arsenal. He was overly precise with his secondaries. I mean, like dotting every single, sinker, changeup, curveball, sweeper. He posted a near 40% called strike plus whiff rate in an 80-pitch outing. He ended the outing with a 113 location plus mark, which is stupidly good. He managed contact very well, which I talk about sometimes. Like, great command doesn't just show up when you don't walk guys. It shows up in how you manage contact and how you pitch to contact. And he allowed a 20% hard contact rate with no barrels across his 5 innings. And he's not going to wow you with stuff. He has a low velo fastball. It kind of sucks that it's still sitting 92 off the surgery, but he's looking George Kirby-esque with his command. And that would be huge for the Guardians, who desperately need some weak contact control-based starting pitchers. The rotation in Cleveland is far away the weakest unit on that team. And all of them are filled with fastball-heavy guys who give up home runs. So Boyd is a very encouraging addition to that team. And hopefully his stuff will play against the Yankees, who, dominate right-handed pitching, but are mere mortal league average bat against southpaws. So Boyd puts them in their worst split. And while the Guardians are slumping in the batter's box after that insane first half, they're still a very patient, contact-based, pesky lineup. And I think that will work fine against Luis Gil, the Yankees starting pitcher for Tuesday, because I've always considered Gil overvalued for a few reasons. He got tons of BABIP and strand luck in his early season run. Once that flipped, he's posted an ERA north of 5.5 across his past 10 starts. And a big reason why is just because he has command issues, serious command issues, walking like 12% of batters. He puts ducks in the pond all the time. His whip during the past 2 months is like 1.5. So unless he overperforms in the strand department, he's super vulnerable on the mound. He could pitch to a 4.5 ERA. And I think he's more vulnerable right now because I really don't like how his changeup is playing. There's just not a big enough velocity differential between his changeup and his fastball, so it's not deceptive at all. And he's throwing it less. I mean, in August, he's only thrown it 20 times across 9 innings. That's about 10% of the time total, which is half his season average on that pitch. And he's allowed a perfect 100% hard hit rate on 3 batted ball events. He's allowed 3 barrels on 3 changeups that have been hit. And anyway, the Guardians, their contact-based, pesky lineup, I think that'll give Gil fits, considering his issues throwing strikes. He throws strikes like 60% of the time. That's nothing. And a bigger part of this handicap is probably the bullpen matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, the Guardians have the best bullpen in baseball. Only team with over 6 reliever WAR. Only team with an ERA closing in on 2.5. And the Yankees are a mediocre bullpen. They're league average at best. I've seen them bottom 5 at worst. Last 2 weeks, they have a 5.5 ERA and a 90% zone contact rate, which again won't play against the Guardians. So I love the Guardians in this spot behind Boyd and company.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and maybe even looking toward the Luis Gil outs under, because he's not able to pitch deep into games. A guy who's crazy against a disciplined Guardians lineup. They're going to be pesky. They're going to foul a lot. And you mentioned it. Gil and his command has been kind of an issue. And I mean, listen, he's young. He doesn't pitch that many innings. And now all of a sudden he's getting toward that number that it might be better off to use him in the bullpen in short stints rather than as a starting pitcher would. But again, the Yankees don't really have the luxury of starting pitching right now. So definitely a great look at the Guardians at plus money there. My best bet comes out it's a favorite. I normally bet slight favorites a lot of the time. San Diego, Minnesota. I like the Twins over the first 5 here. I think this is the perfect time to fade Martin Perez. And so that was like the main basis behind this. I don't want anything. Unlike, you're targeting the Yankees bullpen as a part of a handicap. I don't want anything to do with the San Diego bullpen. I want to get rid of it. They have probably the best 6, 7, 8, 9 punch in baseball. All Martin Perez has to do
is amazing. Tanner Scott is my guy. He's
Scott,
made that unit so much better.
Flores, Estrada, the list doesn't stop. And Adam. So get rid of all of them. Just give me Martin Perez versus Bailey Ober at -120. And I'm going to take that every time. I understand how well Martin Perez has played, but you look at and dig into the underlying metrics. The Padres are getting lucky with how well Martin Perez has played. 24 1/3 innings, a 4-run ball over his last 4 starts. The 3, of course, one of those starts was with Pittsburgh, but his stuff plus 73. His expected ERA 5.5, which is just about a run higher than actual. His barrel rate's a career worst. His expected slugging is nearing 500. He's in the bottom 5% of all pitchers in expected batting average. And that's not good when you're not limiting hard contact and you're not limiting expected batting average and slugging as a pitcher who doesn't generate swings and misses. And his Twins offense in general are 7th in WRC plus against lefties, 13th over the last 14 days. They're actually 2nd in isolated power. So we're seeing them turn the corner even without Buxton. Obviously, Royce Lewis in the middle of the lineup changes it so much. Twins more deadly against righties normally, but still strong against a lefty and a soft tossing lefty like Perez. And then Ober, I mean, the stuff plus metrics don't love him that much, but boy, has he been incredible everywhere else. 220 expected batting average, a strikeout rate and a whiff rate in the 75th percentile or better. His fastball doesn't get a lot of love, but it's very solid as a rising fastball. And his new pitch, the cutter, well, year over year. Last year he didn't have a cutter. This year he introduces the cutter. I think gave him such a luxury on that changeup to make it a way higher swing and miss pitch, because that's his best pitch in his entire arsenal. So he has a 3.3 expected ERA, short up on barrels as a fly ball pitcher. That was ultimately his downfall. I like Twins here at -120, short favorites against Martin Perez. I think it's the perfect time to fade them.
Yeah, Ober also has been white hot. Last 4 starts, 27 innings pitched, 4 earned runs allowed, 30 strikeouts. I mean, he went 8 innings against the Tigers, 7 against the White Sox, 6 against the Rangers, 6 against the Guardians. He's on one right now. He's on a hot streak. So
yeah, and having, I mean, the luxury. Obviously, you wish you had Joe Ryan, who probably maybe can come back in the postseason, but at least having Ober pitching the way he does gives the Twins hope. They do have a great bullpen. I'm not fading I'm not taking the first 5 over the money line because of, the Twins bullpen's bad. The Twins bullpen's good. I just do not want any part of the Padres at the same price. I can just get rid of the bullpen mishaps that can go on and just target Ober over Perez. All right, let's move on to our fade the public. We're going to head over Dodgers Mariners. LA getting 88% of the money, 91% of the cash. They are the favorites. Walker Buehler on the mound against Bryce Miller. Tanner, I'm going to let you go first. I lean the Mariners in this one, but you are confident in taking them at plus money.
Yeah, my second moderate road dog of Tuesday will be the Mariners at the Dodgers. It's primarily I got them plus 130, by the way. I think plus 120, even plus 115 or better is good. And it's primarily because Walker Buehler didn't really show me much in his return from injury that makes me believe he's going to flip a switch or turn it around. His velocity was actually down considerably in his return from injury start against the Brewers. It hit his four seam was 94 miles per hour on average, which I believe is a career single game low. He earned 0 whiffs on 27 changeup, curveball, and sweepers thrown. And although he allowed only 1 earned run across 3 1/3 innings against a good offense in the Brewers. He pitched to a 52% strike rate on 87 pitches thrown. I'm very worried. He doesn't have a fastball. He doesn't have secondary pitches. And he looks like the same guy or worse than the guy whose stuff numbers are down on the year. Strikeouts are down. Batted ball profile is worse. He has negative half a win in 40 innings, 1.7 whip, and earned run indicators between 5.5 and 4.5. I mean, just nothing encouraging to me about him. And the Mariners offense, his opponent, really coming around with the additions of Turner and Rosarena. I was more bearish on those additions, but I think I was wrong. I think those two have really helped the lineup a lot. And I think Julio looks better at the plate since returning from injury on August 11th. He's been a DH since returning, and he's 7 for his last 21 with 2 doubles and only 3 strikeouts, which is really key because that's only a 14% rate, which is half of his season-long rate. So if he can cut down on those strikeouts and start to make more contact, we can see Julio really fly up the boards down the stretch here. Over the past month, Seattle's posted a 120 WRC plus against right-handed pitching. It's the 8th best mark in baseball during that span, and it's just ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have a 116 WRC plus against the side during that stretch. So I love the Mariners against Walker Buehler, and I like them more than I like the Dodgers against Bryce Miller, who I'm polarized on Bryce. I don't think he forces enough whiffs or manages contact well enough considering his stuff. But I mean, there's no doubt that he's a stuff plus darling, and he's coming off dominant back-to-back starts against the Tigers and Mets. I mean, those 2 starts, he tossed 13 scoreless innings with 15 strikeouts and no walks, allowed only 5 hits. He never walks anyone, by the way. He throws strikes like crazy. He also faced the Dodgers once last year in his rookie season, mid-September, tossed 5 1/3 shutout frames with 4 strikeouts. So hopefully he can do it again. And I think the bullpen matchup also is a wash. So I still like Seattle at the plus money. I can't get a read on either bullpen. I don't know about you, but I think the Mariners should be good, but they just keep posting subpar results. The Dodgers should be showing much improved bullpen numbers since I guess Michael Kopech is just a dominant shutdown reliever now. I mean, go look at his stuff plus numbers, and his fastball is coming in at like 99, 100. But they have also been an average to below average unit. They both are. So, whatever. I'd love Miller and the M's against Buehler and the Dodgers, especially at this price. I think they should be favorites, honestly.
I lean toward the Mariners here. I personally, I think Seattle's bullpen's better than the Dodgers, and I don't know if it's especially in that middle of the bullpen. Obviously, Kopech is incredible, and he's leave Chicago and all of a sudden you become a man reborn, and that's all he really had to do. He's obviously gets to the 9th. You're probably not winning your bet if he's getting on the mound and they're up by 1 or 2. But I also think getting to that point might be extremely difficult for the Dodgers bullpen and Walker Buehler. As you mentioned, Walker Buehler, his numbers are atrocious. He's literally in the first percentile of all pitchers in whiff rate. It's that bad. And so I lean toward the M's here. They're away from home, so that's a huge plus because we know the whole season that the Mariners Park has been such a pitcher-friendly park. But the over of 8.5 right now, I kind of like. You mentioned Miller. Obviously, the stuff plus darlings like him. He does give up a decent amount of barrels, still about a 10% rate, a lot of fly balls. He gets hit hard sometimes. So I think that both offenses have avenues to success. I think the Seattle offense is going to do really well against Walker Buehler. And as you mentioned, all the additions have really rounded out that top of the lineup, and especially with the way Luke Raley is playing at the plate as well. But then on the vice versa side, Tommy Edman coming back, Max Muncy coming back, Mookie being back, even with Freddie Freeman's finger being broken and him playing through the injury. We'll see how successful he is at the plate or even if he plays tomorrow. but he is playing on Monday night. At least he's in the starting lineup. So keep that in mind as you look at this game. I still think that this is an avenue to success for offenses. And you mentioned the bullpens can be a bit Houdini sometimes, some Jekyll and Hyde. So I like the over 8.5 also in this one. All right. We got underdog of the day. And so Tanner wrote down, I didn't get to see what his underdog is. He wrote, it's a surprise. Charlie will have to guess on our rundown. And you say media side. Listen, at first I was like, okay, he's probably going to go with like maybe the White Sox against Robbie Ray. Because I know a lot of people have been fading him. Robbie Ray, big home run guy. But it's me and you doing this podcast. It has to be the Boston Red Sox, right?
No.
No?
Who do you think is on this
Tyler
slate?
Anderson and the Angels?
It's Tyler Anderson and the Angels.
Oh,
I
my
love
goodness.
Tyler
There's no way
Anderson
you would do- Oh.
and the Angels. Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you, what do you think is the least likely underdog I was going to take on this slate? And it's going to be the Angels on the money line, plus 170 at the Royals. This is the biggest underdog of the day for me, and I like it. And here's why. I knew I was going to get a rise out of Charlie with this one. Everyone likes to talk about how the Royals have these crazy home versus road splits and how they're a totally different offense at home and they're probably cheating or whatever. What nobody likes to talk about is that the Royals are much worse against Southpaws, and specifically, they have posted a measly 82 WRC plus against lefties at home this season. That's the fourth worst mark in that split among MLB offenses. They're slashing 240, 290, 390 against lefties at home with an OPS that's about 40 points lower than the MLB average in that situation. Conversely, the Angels are in their much better split. They are about 10% better against lefties than they are against righties on the year. They're a bottom 5 offense against righties, but a league average offense against southpaws. And against southpaws on the road this year, the Angels have posted a 117 WRC plus. That's the fourth best mark in that split among MLB lineups. So I'm really liking the Angels offense in a lefty on lefty matchup at Kauffman. Obviously, the big caveat here is betting on Tyler Anderson, who was the most overvalued pitcher on the planet through the first half of the year. But look, he's had a string of tough starts. Regressions hit him like a train. He's posted a ERA nearing 5 since July started. And I think he's come back to earth and is just being priced properly now. Because look, like, we shit on him early in the year because he was pitching like the best arm in baseball, when in reality, he was a league average arm posting a 91% strand rate. Like, he is a league average arm with league average advanced pitching model metrics and league average expected run indicators, And so I don't know, like, you look at Anderson versus Reagans, and I think pricing the Angels right around plus 170 seems right? Like, I feel like in mid-May, when Anderson had like a 2.2 ERA, we would get the Angels here at plus like 120, and we'd all be like, what are we doing with Tyler Anderson? But I think he's being priced right now. But I think the Royals offense is super overvalued in this situation, while the Angels offense is super undervalued. And I think my guy, Cole Reagans, who starts for Kansas City, is just a tad vulnerable. Like, the velocity just has not been there recently. He's walked 22 batters across his past 60 innings, so his walks are up about 2% or so. And he's had some troublesome recent outings against the Cubs, the Guardians. He also faced this Angels offense once earlier this year, and he allowed 7 earned runs on 8 hits across 6 innings with only 3 strikeouts. I think that could happen again. Not to mention, the bullpen matchup is a wash because these are 2 bottom 5 bullpens. I think the Royals might be the worst bullpen in baseball. I've thought that all season. So it can't get much worse for the Angels. I think plus 170 is bananas high for the Angels considering the whole picture. I would make this maybe closer to plus 140 in that range. I love the Angels in this spot. I think we're getting Anderson's just being priced right because he just allowed 7 earned runs in his last start. This number's too high. It's too high.
You listen. I looked at the slate when I saw it, and I was like, to be fair, the last underdog I said you would take is the Angels, and I would never take this because I just can't get behind it with Tyler Anderson. But you do lay out a very good argument. I will say, as someone who is going to have no horse in this race, I am concerned about Cole Reagans of late and how more vulnerable he's looked at times. And obviously Last time out against Minnesota, you look at 7 innings, 1 run, 8 Ks. But there were runners on the base paths a couple of times where he mitigated damage on a couple of hard hit balls right at the defense. And the times before that, I mean, Boston, he gave up a decent amount of hits. Detroit, he looked a little bit more vulnerable. Chicago, Arizona. I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I don't hate it.
Look, just general variance, general regression came from him. He's pitched like a 4.7 ERA across his past 6 starts, and his earned expected run indicators are like 4.5. I mean, this is who he is, and it's not the worst pitcher in baseball. We all felt like he was the worst pitcher in baseball because he was overperforming by 2 runs. But now,
I agree. Listen, I agree with you. He's a league average pitcher, probably a little bit worse, but like right around that mark. It does feel a bit over. You know, Tanner, I'll give you my stamp of approval. I won't bet it, but I'll be rooting for you.
I won Charlie over on Tyler Anderson. I won him.
No,
over.
It's more. I agree. I think the spot is not bad. I'll say that. I don't think the spot is bad, and the Angels have been playing really well. Like they played Atlanta well. They played the Mets well. They're playing teams well. And you could be down 8-5 in the 9th and still win that game because
they have some great guys in the lineup. I think the Angels get too much hate for the lineup they put together night to night.
Yeah, and Neto's playing like a superstar. But
absolutely,
my underdog, I don't have an underdog officially, but my lean goes toward the Reds. And obviously, we talk about us recording this on Monday nights. As of now, there's no starting pitcher named. Aguiar came up and pitched today in Hunter Green's spot, who's on the injured list, and you dated back 5 days ago or 5 games ago. It was Emilio Pagan that started the game for a bullpen day for the Reds. And if that's the case, I like the Reds here at plus money. They're 12th in WRC plus, in terms of XFIP over the last 30 days. And Toronto's bullpen is absolutely atrocious. They're 27th. So I think the Reds bullpen has a pretty significant advantage over Toronto. And then you throw in the fact that it's Jose Barrios on the mound. And the Reds bullpen might be better than the Jose Barrios going those middle relief arms. Barrios hard hit rate 43%, expected batting average 270. Tanner, I remember 2 years ago we were always fading Jose Barrios. It was every start they'd be minus money at a minus 140 to 180 range, and we would fade him and be very successful fading Jose Barrios because all his underlying metrics said negative regression. He's not getting swings and misses. He's giving up hard contact. And that is exactly what is going on right now. His numbers are eerily similar to 2022 when we faded him nonstop. The year after that, 2023, he had pitched a lot better. This year, it's completely gone. So I like the Reds here. I think both offenses are comparable in this point of time. All the Reds have to do is not give up 2 home runs to Vlad Guerrero, and they should be able to win this game. So I like them as an underdog here.
I wrote in opening pitch last Friday. I took the Reds in a bullpen game with Nick Martinez. I will always take the Reds in a bullpen game. The Reds are a top 3 bullpen in baseball by every metric. I love this unit top to bottom. I love Fernando Cruz. You should always be looking towards Cincinnati in a bullpen game. And to say that the Reds have a pretty significant bullpen advantage over the Blue Jays would be understating it by a factor of 150. Like this is not even comparable. So yeah, I like the Reds here too, actually.
Yeah, plus 120, I think it is the number right now in the market. And Barrios, bottom 15% of all pitchers in expected ERA, expected batting average, whiff rate, and close to that in hard hit rate. All right, so that's our underdogs. I lean toward the Reds. Most likely we'll end up pulling, assuming that the bullpen game is announced. And then Tanner surprising us with Tyler Anderson, backing Tyler F. and Anderson, plus 170 against the Royals. A couple of final bets from me before we get on out of here. Tanner, I believe, has none other left. My last 2 bets, Phillies. I think I'm looking toward the first 5 here. We'll see the numbers starting to trickle out. Reynaldo Lopez has been named the starting pitcher for the Braves on Tuesday. Austin Riley, the big news out of that camp, Atlanta camp, 6 to 8 weeks out with a hand injury, broken hand. And so I think this is a great spot to back the Phillies. I think that they're playing slightly better of late after the big slump. They're 13th in WRC plus over the last 14 days. I think Bryce Harper's a great target here against Reynaldo Lopez, who, before going on the injured list, was a huge negative regression candidate, a 2 ERA, 86% strand rate, 0.6 home runs per 9, which is half of what his career average is. He's giving up a 10% barrel rate, the worst hard hit rate of his career outside of a shortened COVID season. and his strikeouts have been dropping. So you look at all the numbers, a 206 ERA versus a 388 xFIP, 440 xERA. I think he's due for negative regression. I think the Phillies offense is starting to find its groove. I think that 1 through 5, 6 is going to be able to do some damage. And even the lower level guys, or the lower guys, Brandon Marsh hitting at the bottom of the lineup, like a lefty on righty, I think he'll have a plus here too. And Zach Wheeler, I don't have to add too much about him. Expected batting average of 203, the best hard hit rate he's given up since 2021, a sub 3 expected ERA. The only issue is his barrels this season. But, this lineup of Atlanta, despite being 6th in WRC plus over the last 14 days against righties, losing Austin Riley, it's Michael Harris, Matt Olson, Marcell Ozuna, and there's one other guy that I'm currently blanking on, and then it's just absolute crap at the bottom of the lineup. So I think the Phillies should be favored here by a lot more in a pitching matchup that I think Zach Wheeler has a significant edge over Ronaldo Lopez. I'm probably looking toward the first 5 because this Phillies bullpen, I am kind of nervous about. They're starting to show cracks. A lot of their guys, Kirkring, Strahm a little bit, Alvarado in the second half of the season have really struggled. So the first 5 numbers not out at the time of recording. That's what I'm waiting for. Probably Harper bases as well. And then real quickly, the last game that I'm looking at and I circled, Orioles and Mets, 2 guys that I love to fade around the mound. Dean Kramer, who has a 10% barrel rate and an expected ERA of 5.1. He gives up a lot of barrels, and the Mets lineup that is starting to hit a lot better as well. Their pitching cannot be the same. And Jose Quintana is probably one of the biggest fades of all of Action Network and might be one of the bigger luck boxes as well. Does not strike out guys, and expected ERA also around 5, nearly a full run higher than actual. 2 guys that I think both offenses should be able to take advantage of here. The Orioles have always hit lefties pretty well. I think, if you want to take the over, I do not hate that one as well. They're currently in the 9th inning, possibly heading to extras. So we might see a lot of bullpen arms being thrown in this game, possibly a couple of limited guys the next time around. The Mets bullpen has not looked good at all. The Orioles bullpen much better, but if they throw Kimbrel out there, it could be a 3-run game. Looking toward an over or props in that game, fading those starting pitchers.
I would just be careful of the weather in Queens. It's in Queens tomorrow. I think we're looking at winds coming in. Queen City's a notorious pitcher's park, so that's the only thing that worries me. But other than that,
I'm not going to log anything. Monday night most likely in that game. Wait for the full weather report, as Tanner said, as I normally do. I don't do it on Tuesdays, but normally the Monday, Wednesday, Fridays I roll out the weather edge with the highest expected home run increases. Those we'll be able to see projected change based on the weather at hand. Because right now, Williams running out left to right. JD Martinez's opposite field home run probably got a little bit of a boost on that one and left the park. We'll see how that one goes out in Queens. But that is going to do it for us here on this Tuesday slate. Tanner backing all underdogs on this slate, including Tyler F. Anderson. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us that 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to this podcast. And check out the Action Network Discord. There's a link in the episode description of this podcast. We'll be back to look at the Friday slate on Thursday. For Tanner McGrath, I'm Charlie DiSturco. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. Good luck with all your bets, and we'll see you next time.